Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, January 19th, and welcome to Esports Playmakers. We are joined today on the virtual desk by Greg Adler, the coach for UTD Esports. Greg, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Paul. Glad to be here.
So before we begin, I just want to give a quick shout out to Equinox, HyperX, Human Mode, and Click Gaming for their continued support of OCU Esports and this show. But for Greg, the first question we have to ask everyone is all about the story. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is you do and how you came into your role?
Sure. So my title is Coach of Esports at UT Dallas. Our program is housed under athletics, so we're considered to be another sport on campus. Our program currently has 4 games: League of Legends, Overwatch, Rocket League, and Smash Ultimate. All of our games compete at the highest level, like top 10 in the nation. With our Smash team being the one that won the CSL National Championship 2 years ago when it was in person. Essentially, I oversee the day-to-day operations of the program, our improvement of our teams, choosing the members of our teams, as well as all of our community and content outreach, and kind of just an admin overview of the program as a whole.
So, I guess we mentioned it just very briefly a second ago off camera, but what was it again how did you come from, you said music teacher into being an esports coach? How did that transition kind of come about?
Sure. So I've always been I've always obviously had a love for video games, but I've always had a love for the scholastic space as a whole. I'm big on learning environments. I'm big on education and just giving students opportunities to kind of explore their passions. And this was kind of a great combination of both. I could kind of have the love of video games and kind of have the competitive side, but also have the scholastic side, and give these students opportunities and kind of help them explore their passions while they're in college. And so this is kind of just a perfect opportunity to kind of combine the best of both worlds.
Super cool. So kind of getting towards the topic I brought you on here for, you are, in my mind, kind of the Smash expert in the collegiate realm. You guys, like you said, you just won CSL. What is your background as it relates to Smash? So did you play Smash before you kind of came into esports? And then more importantly, who do you main?
Funny enough, I've played Smash on and off my whole life, but I would say Ultimate's the one where I really super dove into the competitive. I played a good amount of Smash 4, played a lot of Brawl, but Ultimate was where I really decided that I wanted to just go all in on it. And a large part of that is while I was and the game came out while I've been at UTD. And while I was here, you can just tell how strong the fighting game community is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I mean, they're very passionate about it. There's so many local tournaments that happen weekly. I mean, tons of events, majors, great events that just happen all the time, and a lot of love from the community. And you could tell that kind of just shined at UTD. You had that community feel. You had a lot of people that went to those tournaments already. So it was a really kind of great starting ground to see that community going into UTD. Personally, I main Pac Man. I played him in Smash 4. He was very bad in Smash 4. In Ultimate, he got a little bit of a buff. So I like the zoner characters. I like to run away and not actually play the game. That tends to be the style I like to go with the most.
So that's really interesting. I think you mentioned something in there about kind of the fighting game community. I think generally speaking, the fighting game community has probably suffered more due to COVID more than any other community. Kind of through COVID, can you talk about what it has made, what has made Smash kind of suffer growth during COVID compared to other esports?
Sure. So the biggest problem with online, well, especially an only online environment in Smash, is that it's a peer-to-peer connection. So if one person has any kind of lag or their connection isn't stable, then the whole game just feels way off. It's super laggy. All of your moves are delayed. It makes the game a lot harder in a game environment that minute movements are very important. Everything you do has to be at a certain time. It's all in reaction to what your opponents are doing at a certain time. So any amount of lag at all will make that harder. And not just bad peer-to-peer connection, but the online Switch itself or online Smash itself has an innate lag to it no matter what. So even if both your opponents have gig up, down, upload, download internet and are plugged in and it's all awesome, it doesn't matter because the online has a default lag that they have in every single game. So that definitely makes it hard. Like I said, the game does revolve around a lot of those minute movements. Everything has frame data to it. Every move is so important. And so when you have that that lag on all of your moves and just the game in general, it kind of changes the way you look at the game. You do things differently, you kind of adapt differently, and it makes a lot of players that have been playing for a long time frustrated and often kind of, shy away from the online experience.
Yeah, it's probably really hard to transition from having 0 milliseconds delay input to I don't really know exactly what the amount is online, but I've played on it and it definitely feels like a different game entirely. Um,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I think one thing that's been like really hard for Smash as well as at the collegiate level is the networking that happens on a college campus makes it also more difficult to play. It's something that we've actually struggled with as well. Can you talk about what your guys' solution was with your IT department to kind of get Smash as the best connection possible? And there's
Sure.
like the NAT types, and you don't have to go into too much detail, but like what was the solution? How did you kind of talk with your IT group to make that work?
Sure. So we kind of have two different worlds here, which is really interesting. So first off, we are totally online. None of our students are on campus. We're
Mm-hmm.
right in the heart of Dallas. So kind of just don't want to take the risk, keeping everyone at home. But before that, we had actually been pretty heavily involved. We'd gotten the LAN adapter and stuff like that. So for those that don't know, the Switch doesn't have a port for an Ethernet cable, so you need to buy an additional USB to Ethernet, plug it in, and then plug the Ethernet cord into that. So when we were on campus, we got that, but again, NAT type was an issue, so we did kind of figure it out eventually. Our IT had to really work through it, kind of figure out what the issue was, and kind of get to that. But on the second note, with us all being online, it kind of, your students have to have solid internet now, because if they don't have solid internet, they can't play in any of the matches. So I personally went out and bought any of our students that didn't have a LAN adapter. I bought them one. Not just so they can play in our matches, just so they can play the game that they love at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes it really hard. You have to have a LAN adapter to play in a lot of these tournaments. You have to have a solid connection. And so for a lot of these students that are at home, that are living with their families, they might not have that option. It might be up to their parents whether or not they have good internet, and they don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for us, there's been quite a little bit of workaround with that, kind of being flexible with them, helping however we can, kind of get them set up and provide them the resources that they need to kind of be able to compete.
I think you ran into a similar issue with us where we still have students on campus. A lot of our classes are still online, but we have students that are currently living in the dorms. And one of the issues we had was that on the school network, our connection was it was like we didn't basically just didn't have the ports open was the main issue. Even on the kind of unsecured gaming network, um, and so we had to find a way to basically isolate MAC addresses of each switch
Right.
that the students were using so that they could just continue, like you said, they want to be able to play online because it's the only way you can play Smash right now. And they wanted to get back into practicing and back into playing. So it was really awesome to like be able to do that for them, but it is a barrier to entry, I think, in the collegiate space. Convincing a college campus's IT department to free up the ports so that people can play Smash. Um, so kind of jumping into the next question. Thinking of the support that other titles have for their collegiate leagues, would a model that's kind of similar to that, like kind of how Blizzard has TESPA, um, all the other games have their own leagues. I guess the closest thing to Smash would probably be CSL. Is there a similar model of publisher support that would work for Smash, or is Smash such a unique animal that it needs kind of its own model?
I think it definitely could work. I mean, I think, there's kind of the two aspects of the online now versus the offline in the future. Obviously the online now is all we can do, but 100% it will be in person eventually,
Mm-hmm.
which is what the preferred method for sure, and the way that most of these leagues will obviously want to be done. And I think a publisher aspect could be successful, but I think you also have to rely heavily on the institutions themselves, because they're the ones mainly hosting the events. With these offline events that are eventually going to come back, it's up to these campuses to host them, through organization, through the publisher, or through whoever's hosting the league. But if you don't have the campus support and you don't have the availability to host an event, then you don't really have a space to do it, and it makes things a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's definitely possible. I think the biggest thing is just organization from the top. Clear guidelines and goals for what the league is going to accomplish. How you want teams to host events, how you want them to kind of combine into each other, where they eventually do combine into each other. So I think the publisher model is definitely possible. And I think, given the right circumstances, could definitely be really successful.
I guess going off that, so publishers usually kind of run the leagues under like one specific format. Um, in collegiate, we don't see a lot of 1v1 type games, and Smash's like premier competitive format is 1v1. And there's also crew battles, which some of the leagues have run in the past. But do you think that if you had to pick one game mode between the two, is there one that you choose over the other? Because even things like Hearthstone, we're running 3 versus 3 with two people sitting behind the guy who's like running the deck. So is there like a format that you think would be best for Smash?
Crew battle for sure. I think the crew battle experience, for those that don't know, it's a 5v5 mainly. Could be 4v4, but usually 5v5. And each person has 3 lives, and if they lose their 3 lives, they're totally out until either the other team has 0 or you have 0. And so I think that environment is just so perfect for collegiate. Every single person going in is extremely excited. You have your whole team backing you. There's money on the line sometimes. And so I think you get that team environment, that team excitement and stuff in the collegiate space in a 1v1 generally environment, but you still get the 1v1 chance. You still get your chance to face off against these opponents in that head to head. But you do still have the team environment and just the excitement behind it is crazy. I mean, everyone's screaming, everyone's super involved with it. And I think that format is just perfect for the collegiate space as a whole.
I never really thought of it like this until just now, but it's kind of like track rallies where you have like the 4 people in the pass the baton, and it all
Right.
comes down to the anchor player who's going to be running the last person trying to clutch up against the other teams. Yeah, so I think it's a really cool format. Have you found it's like hard to broadcast at all compared to a 1v1?
Not really. I think the nice part, at least for us, is when we do ours, we use a lot of student casting.
Mm-hmm.
So our students are just hyped no matter what. I
Yeah.
mean, they're just super excited. They're screaming. They're into it. From CSL from offline, we hosted both of the qualifiers that were for our region. We hosted the regional and the whatever it was, the divisional. And it was on our campus. So you go back and you listen to the VOD, and you can't even hear the casters because everyone's just screaming in the background. It's just nothing but excited students and things like that. And so I don't think it's too bad. I think at the end of the day, it's even more exciting. So there's a lot more hype into it. There's a lot more on the line than there is a 1v1. 1v1, it's obviously great to cheer for your teammates, but in a crew battle, you're not just cheering for your teammates. You're kind of getting in the head of the opponent a little bit.
Yeah.
You're kind of trying to psych them out. And so I think that just makes everything a lot more exciting and a lot more fun.
So this is kind of a very unrelated question, but we kind of talked about how Smash is best played local. Um, there's been a lot of talk, I think, in the esports scene about how it feels very fragmented with like all these different giant tournaments and leagues with teams that colleges don't have a lot of association or like I don't know, I guess past experience with playing against or just recognizing the name. Um, Considering that Smash is best played local and assuming COVID goes away, do you think that Smash could be the first esport to create like in-person small statewide conferences just because travel for esports isn't really a thing that's happened yet?
Yeah, I mean, the nice part is they've kind of already been doing it. ECAC, I know, does a league. I know UCEA is considering doing a regional league of some kind. I know they exist in some capacity, which is great to see. I think that's awesome. I know we do stuff similar in Texas as well. Nothing too official, but we definitely have a pretty strong relationship with our local schools in Texas for Smash. And I think that's the best part about it is that your local scene thrives a lot in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you have the ability to travel to farther distances, but more likely than not, you're going to play it in your state or the surrounding 3 or 4 states. So I think there is a lot of room for those local competitions, and I think Smash is a great game to be able to do it. Mainly because you have to do it in a lot of ways, but also because of the way the game is. You're already in those communities. You're already traveling for those
Mm-hmm.
types of events, and so it's kind of just the best of both worlds situation.
I'd absolutely say Smash athletes are no stranger to taking a 6-hour drive just to go play in a tournament somewhere
Oh
else.
yeah.
um, so this is kind of a question for you. You've been in the Smash scene for a while. Would you say that there's been a best Smash league in collegiate, and could you rank the ones that you've played in?
Sure. So, the CSL is the one we do every year. The nice part about CSL is it's nationwide at the end, so it's great to be able to play against any team from anywhere at the very end. They have the divisional model that they start with and the regional model that breaks into the national, which I like a lot. We are part of NACE, and NACE did their league last year as well, which was a lot of fun. Theirs is a 4v4. They do a different format, which is round robin with groups, and then those teams go to playoff bracket after that, which was also great. Um, and then we also on the side, actually, another league we do is Rec Readiness. Rec Readiness does a fantastic. They just do one-off tournaments, though. They do like one-off crew battle tournaments. But the nice part about that is you don't have to have a team from all the same school. You just have to be on a
Oh,
college team or on a high school team, and you can compete. And I think that's a lot of fun because we tend to play a lot stronger teams there because they're just the best player from NYU and the best player from
yeah.
UCI and all on the same team. And so I think the competition's a lot higher. But I'm just happy to see more programs getting involved with that space. I think it has a lot of great opportunity. There's a lot of super passionate students, and I'm just excited to see how many more get involved.
Yeah. So had this question kind of before I was just making all these questions, just because Smash had been struggling. I feel like the answer is now yes, like an absolute yes. But the question was, does Smash have a place in collegiate esports? And now I kind of want to reframe this question and kind of ask, um, what is it that makes Smash so attractive to um, collegiate players? Like it feels like, at least in the South, it didn't feel this way around Boise when I was attending there, but somehow like Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, I feel like have these giant Smash scenes. Do you know like why that's like, I don't know, fighting game culture down here is just so strong?
Well, I think it's a combination of two things. Number one, I think the community aspect is huge. I think, you know, especially in Texas, just the Dallas Fort Worth area. Like I said, there are just so many local events, so many venues hosting, so many people playing that they kind of just help cultivate that community. There's just tons and tons of opportunities to get to play. But I think on a base level, the game is relatively easy to follow.
Hmm.
It obviously you have your intricacies when you have the character matchups and stuff like that. But for the most part, you watch Smash, you know what's going on. You
You can
know
just look
what
at
it
the
means.
bottom and just kind of know
Right,
who's winning at
right.
any time. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, if they're at a higher percent, what that means, you generally have it's an easy to follow, compared to like League of Legends or
Oh yeah.
Overwatch, which is like good luck if you've never watched the game before. When we went to Shine, when we did CSL in 2018, our athletic director actually came with us and watched the event, and he knows barely nothing about video games, very little, but I mean he knew enough to follow along, and he was like cheering louder than some of our students were. And so I think a lot of that helps. It's an easy to follow game. It has to be played in person. There's no delay on the stream, so you could watch it live. I also think it helps that the characters are all recognizable. We
Mhm.
know pretty much every character from that game. Obviously some are a little more niche than others, but you know Mario, Bowser, Yoshi and stuff like that. And so I think that helps. There's a lot of familiarity, and it kind of leads to a more rememberable, or I should say memorable experience.
Yeah, I think this is like a thinking back to when I was playing for Boise State. It was my parents started out watching me play a lot of League of Legends when I was growing up, and I actually made the switch to Overwatch. And I remember them saying that like when they were watching me play League, they understood. When they watched me play Smash, they understood. When they watched me play Overwatch, it was just too many colors, too much going on.
Right.
So I think that absolutely, yeah. Just being such an, I guess the only thing that I think might be easier to understand is Rocket League. But I mean that's just too close to a real sport, so it's kind of a gimme. But Smash, I think you're absolutely right. It's just nice and easy to understand. Good spectator experience. It's got those hype moments. Rounds are short and not 40 minutes long sometimes. So I think absolutely, yeah, a lot of that makes a lot of sense. Um, so this is kind of talking a little bit more about your new project. To my understanding, you're kind of the mind behind this new Collegiate Smash Discord and link that's been popping up. What kind of motivated this to start up?
Sure. So to give an overview of the whole, of the as it is a whole, it's a Discord server dedicated entirely to Collegiate Smash, whether it be Melee or Ultimate, hell, or even Brawl or anything else anyone wants to play, but mainly Melee and Ultimate, with a larger focus on Ultimate. The goal is to kind of just cultivate the space into one, or to cultivate the community into one space. There's a lot of events happening and a lot of action across the country around college, but it doesn't feel like there's one unified location for all of that. It
Mhm.
feels very sporadic. It feels very split up. You have your leagues and things like that, but it doesn't feel like there's one place to kind of get the information, find out about these leagues, get the news.
And
And
if I
my goal,
can, those
go ahead.
those leagues often like I feel like every like there's AVGL, CSL, NACE, like I'm just blanking on all other names, but like every single Discord exists, and then like no one ever talks in them. They're just there for competition day, and there's not much of a community aspect. So is that kind of what you guys are trying to cover and create?
I think that's a part of it. I think the larger part is I just want people to recognize that there's a place for College Smash, and that this server is a way to kind of help share information and get news out there. Are you competing in a tournament? Are you streaming at a college event? Are you doing something? Well, let us know about it. We want to get hype around it. We want to get the attention. And I think on a larger scale, for us hosting events, it's awesome to be able to see these schools represented by students. On Friday, we hosted a 1v1 college student only event. And we had over 70 different schools represented with like 130 people. And so to me, that's awesome. It's a
Mm-hmm.
$100 event, but to see that attention and that love and amount of people that are just interested in the college space for Smash is great. And I think the Discord server is kind of a goal to kind of keep cultivating that and to kind of grow it and just get as many students as we can involved so that they can kind of help increase the love of the game on their campus.
Something about Smash just seems to be immortal to me. It's like all these challenges, the stuff with online, just constant challenge after challenge gets some of the Smash community, and every single time they just come back and keep loving their game and keep playing it. And so it's just awesome to see that even now, with all these colleges from everywhere, getting all the students into one place. I just love what you guys are doing. Do you have like a link you could, or like a way people can join up with that?
Yeah, I definitely could share it. But
Mm.
off of that note, that's one thing I talk to my students a lot about, especially the Smash team, is they're very much like, oh, I hate online, I miss offline, I want to go back. But the thing is, when it does come back, it's just gonna feel that much better. And
Mm.
you're not gonna take it for granted. It's to be able to see your friends in the community again, to where they are, to be able to go to these events. I already told our team if offline events come back by the end of the year and vaccines are in a place where we're able to get them and everything is safe, we're going to go to that first major in 2021. We're going to
Mm.
do it no matter where it is. But I think that's something to just in the back of the head is it will get better, and when it does, it'll just feel that much better. So but on the note of sharing things, I can definitely send a link over to you, Paul, for our
Yeah, perfect.
server. For those that are interested, if you just search Collegiate Smash Bros on Twitter, that's literally the Twitter handle is just Collegiate Smash Bros. You can go take a look at that server, and we have a Discord link attached to it, and definitely feel free to join up.
Well, I guess you could kind of talk about students. This is just a kind of an all-around, all-encompassing question. Do you have any advice you can give to esports students that are seeking careers in either collegiate field, professional field, as someone who's been in the space for a while?
Sure. I think there's two things. I think number one, you have to find what you want to do. I think it's great to be in esports, but I think you have to try to be specific. Do you want to get involved with community building, tournament organizing, social media? You have to find what you want to do and kind of try to build around it. If you're not sure, that's okay, but you have to have a relative idea. What interests you in this space? Do you want to be a competitor, whatever it is? And then the second thing is find as many opportunities as you can to do it. I can't tell you how large the amateur scenes are for pretty much every single game that's in esports out there, or it is an esport out there. So just get involved with them. Find teams to play with, find teams to manage, find groups that you can do their social media for, because they're out there and they are looking for people.
Mm.
Especially if you're younger and just kind of looking in general, find these organizations and just ask what they need you to do. Hey, how can I get involved? How can I help run your league? How can I help run your social media? I want experience and I want to be a part of it. And just build that resume. Talk to as many people as you can. That's the big part about it. Just meet people. Give them a good experience. Show them that you're a hard worker. Learn from them, and just keep building upon it. That's the biggest thing. You have to be motivated to really get out there and get those opportunities. If you don't want to go out and get those opportunities, it's going to be hard because esports is a very everyone space. You kind
Mm.
of do. You really recognize the same faces. You recognize the similar events and stuff like that. So get out there, meet the people, make the connections, and just really diversify and kind of get as many opportunities as you can.
Yeah, I think on that note, there's tons. You said the amateur scene. There's tons of amateur discords. For every there's an amateur discord for every single game basically, and every single one of those discords has a job posting area. It's just volunteer position after volunteer position for all these teams. Just hop on one of those. I think definitely get started. It's a great way to get experience. So I think this brings us to our final question. Greg, is there anything you'd like to plug? Any tournaments that you got coming up? Any events? I know we already said the Smash Discord, which you can find links to that in the description. But anything else you want me to link or just kind of chat about? Now's your opportunity.
Yeah, the Smash Discord's the big one. If you want to follow our UTD program, our Twitter handle is at UTD Esports, utdesports.com. Our team does a great job of managing our social media. You can check that out. My Twitter handle myself is just at Greg Adler 7. And my Discord is Gurg7, GURG7 0007. So if anyone ever wants to talk, I'm always open to questions.
Or 1v1.
Always open to yeah. Always open to questions, always open to conversations about the collegiate space as a whole, and just would love to hear from you.
All right. Well, thanks so much again, Greg, for coming on the show. Thanks once again to our sponsors. This has been Esports Playmakers episode 5, and we will see you guys next time.